Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we will tackle the question of whether or not Kazuma from Konosuba could survive in the new world of Overlord. But before we are going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. Now, how would Kazuma even go to the new world? Well, let's just say someone in his party pressed a red button, or Aqua made a mistake and sent him to the wrong afterlife. He will also arrive alone, because Aqua would be useless, aka just herself. Darkness would join the Happy Farm as a volunteer, and seriously creeping out the Demiurge in the process, and Megumin would likely be confused for Ulbert Odal's daughter and then be hunted down by Albedo's death squad. And with all of that said, let's get back to Kazuma, and right from the start, we have to split the scenario into different subsets, because if Kazuma, a low-level adventurer with relatively meek combat stats, would have made his way into the innermost center of the continent, where only the most brutal of states are vying for dominance over the entire continent, Kazuma would be very likely dead within a week. None of these nations are human or humanoid in nature, and all see humans as threats, forced labor, or just food. Now, while Kazuma's combat-related stats are weak, he has one saving grace: his luck, which is significantly higher than anything else he has, so therefore the chance of landing in the baddest possible location is relatively low. Also, if he should find himself in the innermost region of the continent, then maybe he will have luck within unluck, as we Germans say, and he will find someone who is willing to save him, or at least not eat him outright. Another danger to Kazuma would be the Overlords. He isn't a level 100 player, but he still came from a different dimension, and after experiencing the war against the 8 Great Kings and the devastating defeat, as well as the twisting and pollution of their wild magic, it is unlikely that they will talk to Kazuma, especially because not all dragons are nice. At this situation, the only thing he could possibly say is that he's not from Yggdrasil, but since his powers would be similar enough to that of players, and since the last thing the Dragonlords would want at this moment are another dimension travelers from yet another world messing up things in the new one, so Kazuma would again be dead. But let's just say his luck stat prevails and he ends up in a human nation. What would Kazuma do then? Well, despite him being a lazy shut-in, he's actually quite able to work, if the circumstances demand it, and the chances aren't that bad that he will find an odd job here and there to not starve, until he finds his way to the Adventurer Guild, which is basically what happened to Kazuma in his own afterlife. And then he would likely thrive. See, in the second novel of Overlord, it had been revealed that most of the adventurers of the lowest rank, Copper, are sleeping together in large dormitories in order to make connections and eventually form a party. Basically, you're not just going to the taverns for eating and sleeping, but also for networking. And Kazuma thrives once the 3 anchors pulling him down had been removed. Because in Konosuba, in the canon Konosuba storyline, he switched teams. And while his team remained a complete catastrophe, Kazuma worked very well with his new teammates. So, eventually Kazuma would make quite a bit of money and become a good adventurer with a well-rounded team. And things would be even more interesting if all of this happens within the Sorcerer Kingdom, or the Empire that had become a tributary state, since Kazuma would likely realize that the Sorcerer King might be a player, or rather a human from his or his world in the future, especially because Kazuma himself is an avid gamer, and therefore he should recognize that most of his spells are just based on Dungeons and Dragons, as are his monsters and his subordinates. Likewise, Ainz is not above meeting adventurers himself, even when he still has been the Sorcerer King, or rather in his role of the Sorcerer King in the case of Team Rainbow. So there's a chance that with enough curiosity from both sides, Ainz could actually meet Kazuma, and both could reveal their secrets to another. For example, let's just say Kazuma as an adventurer of the Sorcerer Kingdom dies and is therefore resurrected by the Sorcerer King himself. And that's how they make contact. And I think both would appreciate another, since both are gamers, although Ainz had been much more hardworking than Kazuma. But after he arrived in the new world, I think both stand more or less on equal footing in this regard, so there's really nothing that would both stop each other from forming a friendship. That, while likely not as deep as the original friends Ainz had, would still be highly enjoyable for the Overlord, since he now can discuss the absurdities of his position with Kazuma, and if things get too stressful, he could just go out adventuring with Kazuma as the Black Knight. Likewise, befriending the most powerful political leader in the entire world is something Kazuma would really appreciate. But the question you might have asked yourself the entire time is, could Kazuma join the guild of Ainz Ooal? And the answer is, sort of. While he had been a NEET in life, he would become an adventurer, a respectable professional. However, there are two major requirements that Kazuma would need to fulfill, and the other would be that he should be a heteromorph, which he isn't. So unless he transforms himself, he likely wouldn't be even considered worthy of Ainz Ooal. And even Ainz puts him inside the Grey Tomb, the guild would just view him as an outsider. Though again, even Albedo was able to bond with outsiders, specifically Renna, over their infatuation over their respected love interests. So who's to say that Kazuma couldn't find friends among the denizens of the Great Tomb of Nezarec? And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Ben C, Bad Guy Yee, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Dystopia II, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chiromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Michael R, Michael Y, Oakhill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, the Orc Warboss, Rock Smasher, T.E. Wang, Verschorkai, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.